everyone, Kuro the Artist here. Special event episodes are great, but it's also cool to randomly get a fun Oh god, there's something in my eye. Hold on. Oh god. Oh, my contact just fell out. Oh god, what the Okay, here we go. Alright, I can see. Here we go. Special event episodes are great, but it's also cool to randomly get a fun surprise in the shows when you least expect it. That's when Omniverse dropped us this pair of episodes, which threads the same story beats between two different episodes.
Have a good time at the car show.
You are the slowest driver.
The first time I ever saw this concept was in the season 1 episode of The Fairly OddParents, A Wish Too Far, where the story beats of that episode were retold in the season 3 episode, The Big Scoop, with the same events playing out from Chester and AJ's perspective rather than Timmy's. As for Ben 10, while this concept is the main reasons that these episodes have notoriety, they don't connect as much beyond the phone call scenes, but it's still an apparent concept nonetheless.
Where's Kevin?
In his car, facing the same giant beasts.
Wait, how big are we talking here?
Ben, they are eating my truck.
To my knowledge, one of the best examples of the multi-narrative concept was the 2005 film Hoodwinked, where if you can get past the uncanny animation, you get tons of fascinating scenes that are all connected in unexpected ways.
You hear something?
But even if Ben 10's sister stories don't push this trope to the fullest, we still get some pretty amusing storylines out of them. The first part focuses on Ben and Gwen reconnecting with their alien shape-shifting cousin, Lucy.
Besides, someday I'll get you back when I'm your commanding officer.
As they hunt down a mole stealing plumber tech to Siphon's gang of criminals. While the other pairs together Kevin and Rook on Koros as they run into a friend-turned-foe from Kevin's past.
You left us there to rot.
I had no idea the device would only transport me out of the null void.
Sprinkle in a ton of Transformers references and an unexpected return of a moderately known character. We get ourselves the topic of today's breakdown. So join me as I continue to neglect my son while I break down these episodes, but first, if this is your first breakdown and you're curious about how my rating system works, there's a detailed description down below, along with a link to all my previous episodes. But watch this video first, I'm sure you'll still enjoy it. You can also catch the latest 2 episodes of 5YL on our channel right now. Keep an eye out for a new drawing matrix covering all of the rest of the Omniverse Ultimates, a new episode of And Beyond set on Brainstorm's home planet, and a bonus video featuring Hershey and Fro as we unveil Fro's new miniseries, all dropping this month. It's certainly one hell of a time to be an Ink Tank fan, so without further ado, let's get started. Eugene Sun revives many elements introduced in his classic series episode Big Fat Alien Wedding with Omniverse's Mud is Thicker Than Water, which first aired November 2nd, 2013. Gwen is less than thrilled to be reunited with her cousin Lucy Mann, who is now a high-ranking plumber officer. When the plumbers start losing track of their weapons, they suspect a mole may be among their ranks, and Gwen's eyes gravitate more and more towards Lucy's direction. Wow, so Sweet Eels and Tummy Head again? They were apprehended literally last episode too. So they instantly got out right after they were arrested. Check this out, they're using the plumber rifles that Kevin used. Probably stolen fresh out of the plumber weapons vault because, you know, their security will allow it. I almost forgot that Ben can fit other people on this bike with him, but it did fit Festina after all, and she's gigantic. Cute that Patella Day has a little helmet here too.
They're toting some unusually advanced tech.
Also, they're even acknowledging the weapons themselves. It's not just a reused design. The kind of rifle they're using is important. We rarely ever get that. Opens up his hand and transforms into Accelerate. Oh, the whole transformation's on the bike. I forgot about this. It's less of a morph and very like warped around and stretchy, but it's still pretty cool. Though this is the onesie style transformation again. But I love the detail that it knocks off his helmet. That's really neat. Though the rest of his bike's outfit was able to transform, so it's interesting that the Omnitrix didn't transform his helmet with him, but it did everything else.
I'll head them off. Catch up.
And if you look at this, the gradient in the front gets darker the further away they are from the camera. And holy shit, is this a whole CG Undertown right here? I don't think we've ever seen this before, at least not with like this level of detail and commitment. Look at all of this. It must have taken so long to build. Usually they do the multiplane effect for backgrounds like this in the series, and it still looks solid that way, but this is a full-on CG background.
I'll head them off. Catch up.
Also, I don't think Accelerate's voice was pitched up as high as it should have been right there.
I'll head them off. Catch up.
You got the keys.
There's keys for that thing? That's pretty funny. Look at him stand up like this. This is friggin' weird. The keys have a nice little 10 on it. Yeah, look at this. Holy shit. I don't remember this at all. They colored him with his 11-year-old colors right here. Though the Omnitrix is still white. It's just his breastplate then. Look at him go. Oh my god, he's so efficient right now. I mean, Accelerate could have ran up that wall. He's done shit like that before. But alright, let him get away, I guess.
Blasters look familiar.
That's sick as fuck. Look at that. And I like that for the most part, it's pretty practical. You can see the shape here, and the shape it ends up on is consistent. Aside from like the way the joints operate and, you know, the mass shrinkage, they did a very good job at making this seem like something that can like truly transform.
They're top secret plumber tech.
Ben's like, are they really? They're only green and have the Omnitrix symbol. Come on, bro. He'll take you down with a swoop and a swish, fighting with Patalade the Kung Fu fish.
Have a good time at the car show. Not too good a time.
Kevin's like, we're gonna do so much cocaine. I like this detail that to bring Kevin's car, they got this attachment right here. And this sets up the next episode, which happens at the same time as this one. And it's notable they don't talk, so Greg and Bumper don't have to be here for this one. Oh yeah, I always forget about this entrance. I think they use it maybe like 5 times throughout the series. But we've seen there's like tons of entrances, so it doesn't really matter. In fact, this whole sequence mirrors how Ben entered the Plumber's HQ in The More Things Change Part 1. I wouldn't be surprised if every single background is reused from that shot.
Hey, look. Labels blowing up my line and got me missing calls. Told her you ain't gotta hit me till you licking balls. Feel like ZVF, baby, I'll be cooler than the mink weather. Make a Coke bottle, give me brain.
Which is very smart, but it's still cool because it's Gwen in that position.
Grandpa? Psych!
And now we get to meet Cousin Lucy, or at least re-meet her. Lucy's first and only appearance was a little more than cameo, but not nearly a supporting character, in Big Fat Alien Wedding, the classic series episode when part of the Tennyson family was married into a Lenopin/Sludge Puppy family. But it's really cool of them to bring her back. I'd consider this a deep cut, and for extra continuity, she is still voiced by Tara Strong, despite being 6 years since we've seen her.
Do you know we get to dance in front of everyone? Isn't that great? I've been working with the plumbers for a couple of months now. I promise I won't get mud on anything.
I really like her design too, though her eye color did change since the classic series.
I have something very important to tell you.
Surprising enough, Gwen's room does look the same that it did in Alien Force and Destroy All Aliens, except with blue walls instead of red. I wonder if they'll still have that picture of Max hanging up if they face this way. That'd be funny as fuck. The morph animations for them are really good. Omniverse is always really good with them, especially with Ben's transformations. But with Ben, you can at least get away with a flash every now and then if you don't really feel like animating it. With the Sludge Puppies, you have to do it every time. Or at least you should. I don't remember them not. I think they always do a full morph for the Sludge Puppies. They're very good at keeping up with it. Also, I know Lenopins, I get it. It's just, you know, it's the old racism that's built into my blood.
Are you surprised to see me? I'm visiting for a couple months.
Months? Do you think she goes to school? She is an alien, but like, that's a long time to be away from home.
I promise I won't get mud on anything.
I see you're wearing my favorite shirt.
Are you freaking kidding me, Gwen? Also, Lucy's definitely doing this just to mess with Gwen. If she really wanted to, she could shapeshift that shirt.
Using my favorite hairbrush.
It's a bit of a cheesy flashback, but I do think it's necessary. The lifelong annoyance Gwen has with Lucy, given she's a character we haven't seen in, God, like over 100 episodes. Crazy that Lucy came back before her own brother. It's like that GTA 6 meme.
Surprised to see me?
Cousin Lucy?
I like that they're different heights as well.
I've been working with the plumbers for a couple of months now.
How the fuck has she been doing that and they didn't know? Didn't they just get invaded by the incursions? If she was really working with the plumbers, she would have been involved firsthand with that. In fact, that would have been dope. I'm always saying, like, the miscellaneous plumbers they use in the background, we have plenty of characters where they could have been like real people. Anytime we see a nameless background plumber, it could have been Lucy.
I promise I won't get mud on anything.
Given the fact that the mud is also part of her body, that's gross.
How are low-level bad guys in Undertown getting their hands on our tech?
Because you literally have the worst security system ever.
This information doesn't leave the room.
Oh, it will.
We believe we have a mole.
You mean Jerry from Inhuman Resources?
God, that's such a great line. For one, it's because Jerry is like a real character we've seen before. Although I think this is the first time we know his name is Jerry. And for two, Inhuman Resources, great pun.
He looks exactly like a mole.
And it's also kind of foreshadowing because he does eventually name his transformation that's based on Jerry, Mole Stash.
Put the plumbers on high alert.
No unauthorized access to restricted areas.
Increase security.
That should be all the time. If you can be doing even better than you're doing right now, then that better should be the standard. What the fuck are you doing, guys? How did Tummy Head get out within one episode?
See some ID, Cousin Lucy.
Wait, is Ben taller than Lucy right here? Because Gwen's taller than Ben. Does it go like Gwen, Ben, Lucy?
I got my plumber badge right here.
She looks really fun to draw. I don't draw a lot of bangs like this.
She is the first ever Sludge Puppy plumber.
Look at that. Do you see he gets right up in her fucking face and calls her a sludge puppy. I swear to God. The whole Lenopen thing is literally one of the dumbest things this franchise has ever done.
I graduated early.
And she doesn't bat an eye. Like, retcons between different series. Okay, I mean, they're not great either, but they make sense. You know, it's a new show. They're probably trying something new. But I mean, this is like, what, season 4? And then in season 7, they're gonna act like the word sludge puppy is a problem? Come on.
I graduated early. #1 in my class. I've already been promoted 4 times.
That's actually pretty stellar. And I like that because it's such a high achievement, which you wouldn't normally get based on her standard personality. Sort of like Ben. You would meet this guy, you'll be like, yeah, there's no way this guy knows what he's doing. And not only does he save the world, he gets a 95 in his basic training score. So this does feel very Tennyson-esque, despite them not literally being blood relatives. She's certainly part of their family.
Hear that, Gwen? You might have gone to college early, but Lucy's already done.
It's funny because Ben's not even doing that to rub that into her. He's genuinely impressed and he's trying to, you know, give her flowers on this. So it's actually kind of admirable for Ben. He's trying to give her pride in her achievements, but it also works against how Gwen feels about Lucy. I like this a lot more than if Ben would have purposefully done it to rub it in Gwen's face. You know, we've done so much of that.
When you finally finish college, maybe we could be partners.
Same with Lucy too. Lucy's not trying to be a jerk and Ben's trying to make her feel good about her accomplishments. So I like that for the most part. The rivalry, which I can't fucking say. It's all in Gwen's head. That's what I'm trying to say.
Maybe I could be your commanding officer. Wouldn't that be hilarious?
You know, when you think about the actual logistics about why people snort and the amazing control that Lucy has over her shapeshifting, she's definitely created a body that makes her snort like that on purpose, which I actually kind of think is funny. I think Lucy just enjoys like the weird parts about being human, and she probably finds snorting amusing because if she really wanted to, she could shapeshift her nasal cavities to not have to snort when she laughs.
Yeah, hilarious.
Another little instance where like the voice doesn't really match the expression.
Yeah, hilarious.
What's a nice drawing?
It's good to see you, Gwen. We never do anything together anymore.
Very true, and I like that he's optimistic about it. You know, Omniverse Gwen and Ben don't really bicker that much anymore either. They certainly do in their flashbacks, but I like that they still try to keep that in strength they've built not just as family, but as friends, that UAF setup. And this also reminds me a bit of To Catch a Falling Star, where Ben and Gwen get more of a chance to connect again, just as cousins, without Kevin being there. Although Lucy is here, but she doesn't really break up the flow.
It's just that I get so busy.
We're all busy. You have to make time in life for the important stuff, right?
Yo, fucking preach, Ben. What has gotten into you this episode?
Hey, Jerry.
There he is.
Complaining about the stinky mess you left in the girls' bathroom.
Man, why you gotta call her out like this in front of everybody? Just like send her an email. I know it's not really her, but had it really have been her, come on.
No!
Oh, because it's Lucy. Damn, she got me. I thought it was like Lucy shapeshifted into Gwen and pretended to do that. So it was Lucy, but I expected Lucy to have posed as Gwen, not Patelade. That's funny as fuck.
Oh, Gwen, you should have seen the face you made when you realized you were pranked. Oh man, Lucy, you got her good.
Imagine she just goes full Anodite right now.
Why are you taking me down here? Because I said I was sorry.
And remorse. My boy, he's evolving. See, the thing is, this isn't even just Ben being like mature, but like he's earned this. He's had like enough growth and development where like this does feel in tune with his character. Like this is him being lighthearted and fun without being an egotistical jerk.
Need some place where we can talk alone without Cousin Lucy around.
Is Lucy Ben right now? That'd be hilarious.
What's wrong with Cousin Lucy?
Strangely enough, one point I will give towards Bellwood being in the South rather than in New York, it's Ben saying stuff like Cousin Lucy. It's a very Southern thing for people to put like the family member title before their name when they speak of them. Up north, he would just say Lucy.
She's just so... you know?
See, that's a great line too, because she didn't actually even say anything.
She's just so... you know?
She doesn't even understand it herself. She's like, why do I hate Lucy? She doesn't even have a reason. It's just internalized because of the one-sided competitiveness. I don't think she's ever even thought about why she's annoyed by Lucy herself until that moment. Although granted, her getting mud everywhere is kind of annoying. Lucy could be a little more respectful with people's stuff.
I don't even get how we're related to her.
She's our second cousin-in-law once removed.
And Ben was on top of that too. The quick wits. I'm sorry, I'm trying to take this in while I can because I know how they're about to write him in the Albedo arc. I can't,
She's Grandpa Max's brother's son's wife's mother's sister's daughter.
Does that make sense?
She's Grandpa Max's...
Grandpa Max, okay?
Brother's...
brother, yep. Gordon Tennyson, which I know we've met him, but it's still kind of weird that he has a brother.
Son's...
son, who was Joel. So far, we've already met all these characters in that wedding episode.
Wife's...
life, who was Camille, who was the sludge puppy getting married into it. Who, on a side note, was voiced by Greta Lyle. I feel like it would have been fun to make her voice Lucy, just to get Gray involved in Ben 10 more. You know, I feel like Tara does a great job as Lucy, and it is voice actor continuity, but, you know, Tara's had enough roles in Ben 10.
Mother's...
mother, who's Miss Mann, who I'm convinced isn't her real name.
Sister's...
now, her sister. I don't think we actually met her sister, or if we did, she wasn't identified.
Daughter.
And daughter. Okay, so it's all connected.
She's Grandpa Max's brother's son's wife's mother's sister's daughter.
Yep, that makes sense.
I'll take your word for it.
Look at Ben one-upping Gwen on the family knowledge here. It's funny because if this scene was in the classic series, the roles would absolutely be reversed, so it's nice to see this subversion. It also shows that maybe Gwen would have known this if she wasn't so distracted by the annoyance of Lucy. I'm sure if she really thought about it, she'd be able to figure that out too.
Cousin Lucy is awesome.
Ben gets a freaky face in this episode too.
Nobody's supposed to be down here.
It's almost like you guys have no security.
And you said we never do anything together anymore.
Oh, the core again. It shows up more than I thought.
Something's wrong with it.
The entire power core is going up.
It's always the power core, ain't it? Maybe it shouldn't be exposed floating in the middle of the room.
Maybe I can shut it down.
You know, I almost forgot she could do that. Don't they also do the split thing too, or is that just a UAF thing? Oh no, it was a glow there too. Okay, I kind of missed the split open transition from UAF.
Easy enough, Master.
Some nice little wobbly camera shake here. Oh, and Gwen's magic sigil. And we do see this show up pretty frequently in Omniverse when she uses her powers.
We need to cut the power.
A plug I can pull!
He's still gonna make those puns. Now that's a sick-ass move, moving all the way around.
Oh!
It's interesting that he leans forward as if to get a better look despite having no eyes on his head. I never really cared for this shot though. See, like right here, this could be somebody. This could be Helen, this could be Manny. It doesn't have to be just some random dude.
Someone tampered with the access panel.
This was sabotage. Can't shake this bad feeling, but where's Lucy?
Oh boy. Holy shit, Siphon.
You okay, boss?
Grandpa Max, Guy, Liam. Paul Lighting is really getting his vocal exercise in.
Do you have any idea how much my spy inside the plumbers is costing me?
Worth.
Aren't there trackers in those? I hope they have a line about that.
Someone managed to make off with several plumber tanks.
And not a single person was guarding those tanks, huh?
Soon there won't be anything left to steal.
No? No line about they disabled the trackers on them too? Could you track those tanks?
No way Lucy has anything to do with this.
These thefts started right at the same time she arrived.
I mean, I get that this is a lot of Gwen's own paranoia, but this does kind of make sense.
Hey Rook, how's the auto show?
So this is one of the scenes that cross over in the next episode. When we get to that, I'll do a proper comparison, but I think it's neat that they're seeding in those scenes in here.
Oh, Rook.
But you only hear screams and stuff. You don't get to hear Rook's voice in there. That would have been neat.
Can't be anywhere near as bad as what we're dealing with here.
And then he hears some bullet shots. That's funny.
Your thing is way worse.
If you didn't know this gets paid off in the next episode, this does seem a little random, but I like it. It gets you interested. Like, what are they doing over there?
Kevin?
Come on, y'all know I had to do it.
Psych!
Oh, another flashback. Oh my god, and holy fuck, they did do it. Look, it's the Max photo. Why? Why do they keep doing this? Like, I admire the dedication, but it's just so funny to me.
What's Kevin Levin like?
He's the worst.
They knew his last name back then?
Thinks he's so tough and bad.
And he tried to kill you.
You like Kevin!
I do like what they're trying to do here, though, because it feels like a response to people feeling that Kevin and Gwen's relationship escalated too quickly in UAF. And I have plenty of thoughts about those, especially in the Kevin's Big Score breakdown I did, as well as the Michael Morningstar one. If you want to know my true thoughts on those, you should check those ones out. I really don't think it was as bad as people say, but it did happen a lot quicker than many people were comfortable for. So trying to seed in the fact that Gwen had some sort of crush on Kevin even before Alien Force is a smart way to try to justify that connection in the future a little bit more. And it's also neat to see her try to battle these feelings despite him being a psychopath. So I admire the effort. I don't remember why, but I felt like it just didn't work that well, but I guess we'll see as I do this rewatch.
As if.
See, we even got the same indent in the room that she's had, so Ovi's really good about making sure the architecture is consistent.
You totally wish you were sitting with him in a tree.
Even if she was, he's still like a mutant right now, right? Imagine kissing that mouth.
Because of recent security breaches,
Gee, I wonder who looks out of place right here.
we're gonna move the Annihilar off planet.
What a wild thing to bring back in such a non-high stakes episode. Come on, you guys were doing so good with Ben. Don't do this to me right now.
That thing again?
You're telling me this man could say,
She's Grandpa Max's brother's son's wife's mother's sister's daughter.
but not a Lilarg in the same episode?
Legendary doomsday device with enough power to destroy the entire universe!
Which is wild that they're taking it seriously now, because it was only a legend and a myth until the episode where it went off, but nobody remembers it actually going off.
No boom?
Oh, it's a dud.
I was too late to save the universe, so I used Alien X to make a whole new one.
I have no
memory of this.
So from their perspectives, there's still a possibility it doesn't work.
But I thought the Annihilarg didn't work.
You know what? Exactly. I'm glad. Let's talk about it.
Somebody fixed it.
They fixed it? But why? Also, how do they know it actually works if it allegedly didn't even work the first time? They kind of wrote themselves into a corner right there. Y'all can't be taking the Annihilarg seriously when in this version of reality, it didn't have any proof of working. Especially Bluekitch and Driba fixing it. How much of their stuff actually works the first time?
You think I'm Lucy?
Drop the act.
Apparently I'm not as paranoid as you are.
She is getting paranoid. That's pretty funny.
You're right. I let Lucy get in my head. I'm sorry, Ben.
Psych!
Holy fuck. That's so good. Has it been Lucy this whole time? She's not in this shot. Okay, that makes it tricky. I'm not sure if my criticism about Ben's character degradation is even valid anymore. Guess I gotta take it back. But even so, how does Lucy know that Ben couldn't pronounce it? Nope, the holes are back. This don't make sense. Hey, it's the plumber transport ship. The Annihilarg is much bigger than last time.
That's Grandpa Max. Ask him if we're getting hazard pay for this.
Do they get any pay at all for this? There's Siphon's gang. For a second, the length of the laser goes further into the screen than they should. You can see where it cuts off right here.
Bring me the Annihilarg.
Oh shit, it's the little plumber unit. What was his name, Robucket or something? That sounds right. It's always daring for you to do that, Ben. Look, one of Volcanus's guys started working for somebody else. Plumber's still gotta pay for that. That's probably coming out of your hazard pay, Ben. This guy always looked a little out of place, but I kind of like that as well. Maybe he's from Ledger Domain or something. He looks kind of mystical. This is Gorvin. It would have been dope if this guy showed up in the background of a few episodes prior to like set up that he was a mole. It could have been like a very like subtle season 4 arc sort of thing.
Lucy's not around again? What a surprise!
That's a really sick looking torch. Holy shit. A couple of these designs are reused from Secret of the Omnitrix. This guy stands out to me the most though, because last time we saw this species, they were gigantic. Maybe it's a young one? Blasts out a ring that expands and explodes. His powers are more confusing than Jerry Riggs.
The Narla! Ha!
Okay, so Ben is still fucking up. Valid again.
Annihilarg!
Do I look like I care what it's called?
Imagine if he said that when Deefus says it's Linopen, not Sludge Puppy.
Dangerous weapon in the universe is gone!
Now might be the time for Alien X. This ain't something you should take a chance and hunt down. I would just be like, boop, Starman, warp it back here, destroy it, back to human. That's all you gotta do. I'm a big advocate for him not usually solving problems like that, but we've literally seen firsthand the Annihilarg is an Alien X level threat, if you know what I mean. Like, do not fuck around, Ben.
You have no proof that Cousin Lucy is the spy.
Lucy is nowhere to be found. Every time something like this happens...
It's true. I kind of feel bad for Gwen because she's actually speaking facts right now. Like, where is Lucy?
Lucy sold us out.
This was a pretty good shot. Gwen walks into frame. She keeps talking as they're zooming out, but then it turns out they're attached to this CG model, which flies off. In fact, they probably had the wing wipe across the screen right here to hide the fact that they're transitioning out of the 2D shot right there. Whoa, we haven't heard the octave be this deep for this score yet. Usually it's much higher.
Power to obliterate the entire universe.
Is kind of no use for you because you'd also be in the universe too. If you think about it, this is one of the most useless weapons for any of the villains because they'd be destroying themselves and everything else unless they just truly did not give a fuck. What are you gonna do with this Siphon? Even if he was gonna sell it for profit, it's like you don't want that person using it either. And now the mole is revealed. And some continuity here where the ripped open plumber suits have like a mechamorph texture. It's been confirmed it's not mechamorph texture, but it looks like it. They maybe should have at least done a different color palette.
You had me thrown off the transport ship. I was making sure the plumbers wouldn't suspect you were the spy.
And he's revealed. It's really hard to buy that each one of these was housing 2 of his arms, but I mean, whatever. You gotta allow that kind of stuff for animation. But this was a really cool decision to bring Gorvin back. I know we already had like a small cameo, but that could have just been like oh, that's a fun little thing. Look, there's Gorvin. But now he's an important character, given that he originally debuted in a video game. It's like when Nanomech, Eon, and Elena showed up in Ultimate Alien. Or the evil Waybig from Cosmic Destruction having the same design and destroy all aliens. Like, the cross-continuity is always really bold and impressive. Though originally Gorvin was voiced by John DiMaggio, whereas now he's voiced by Rob Paulson.
But I know all about your tricks. Your grandfather was no match for me.
I was your spy. Why would I tell him where to find you?
And Gorvin especially is interesting because he's even had like UAF style art and an action figure. So he was treated like an important character at the start when he really wasn't. So it was a slow burn, but he did eventually find his way into the show. Good for him. And while the video game continuities aren't like 100% canon, I imagine it was probably the same events that happened. So it is a subtle continuation of the video game as well.
Call them all! I'll break you in half.
Oh, you make a good point.
Gotta strike that pose.
You told them where we were!
That was me.
Nice job, Lucy. And now she's got her big Lenopen form too. So Lucy has 3 standard designs: her human disguise, her Lenopen human form, and her big Lenopen form, which is neat to be able to see all 3 of them. Although so far we haven't seen the humanoid Lenopen form. I don't remember if that's in this episode or not.
Wipe out the sludge puppy!
Careful, Siphon.
Gorvin was the mole in Plumber HQ.
That's a cool filter for her voice.
Find Gorvin!
Wait, Jerry's out here in the field? All right. This was cool. Look, it's like a silhouette morph. This is almost kind of UAF style, going from a silhouette of his human form into the more detailed alien form. Although this fight scene isn't that great. He's just wiping across the screen over and over. Help save on animation, I guess. Wow, what the fuck was that sound? That was neat.
Plumber tech.
Now imagine if Ben turned it to upgrade and upgraded this tank. For fuck's sake, Ben. Is he changing direction in mid-air? Humongousaur did this too at one point, and I was just like, how the fuck did he do that? Hey, she's doing the stairs thing. Awesome. Yeah, the Nihilarg is a lot bigger than it originally was. Maybe when they rebuilt it, it needed extra machinery or something.
So you want to dance?
Well, I did take cotillion for 3 years.
She did actually mention that before.
I took cotillion for 3 years. It means... oh, never mind.
Cotillion. It means...
Give me back my Nihilarg!
I don't point these out a lot because Ben 10 has so many of these, but whenever a character is supposed to cut somebody off and there's this awkward pause between them, it's so weird.
It means...
Give me back my Nihilarg!
See, it should be something like this.
Cotillion. It means...
Give me back my Nihilarg!
See, there he's actually interrupting her versus like this weird pause for whatever reason.
Cotillion. It means...
Give me back my Nihilarg!
There's like 30 episodes where this happens. Such great evasion. She's like Aang right now. Also, if you look very closely, you can see, here, I'll zoom in on it first. You can see this line and this line are the edge of the backgrounds, and all the detail and everything stops pretty much after this edge. So when you shrink it down a lot, you can see that the background is moving outside of its perimeter right here. Yeah.
I'm bigger and stronger.
And this beatdown I'm putting on you must be embarrassing.
Ooh. The classic Tennyson strength. How detailed do you think the knowledge of a character has to be in order for Lucy to impersonate them? Does stuff like this come naturally, or does she really need to know every detailed inch of Vilgax to pull this off?
Vilgax, please don't hurt me.
Psych.
Oh, there's her humanoid form. Okay. And a really good, oh my god, really good morph right here. Back down to this form. Lenopens are interesting because their design isn't like super detailed, but I still like the look at them. The textured pattern on them and the weird eye things are neat. Though it is curious why they even have this humanoid form. Do you think they do this just for humans, but to still try to respect their own heritage? Or do they have some other benefit for doing this? Like on their home planet, are they just the big muddy blobby forms? Let me know what you think in the comments below.
Ruined everything!
God, this looks so good. Blorpity blorp. Stretches on out. Morphing texture animation like this is a true talent.
Aw, thanks. That's so kind of you to say.
And I love that filter there. Did they do something like that for Classic?
We'll teach you to muck up our family business.
Of course. That's what family is for. A little big for the wedding cake, but it's the thought that counts.
My eye!
Ooh. Oh, that was awesome. And this indent is drawn very well.
Think fast.
Whoa, what? Why?
What are you, crazy?
Exactly.
It's a fake.
Oh, okay. All right, damn. They're really getting me this episode. I'm invested. I like being tricked.
Psych. Good one.
And she gets a joke in. This was great because I don't even think Lucy was aware of their rivalry this whole time. Like, it wasn't something that Gwen ever had to have a conversation with her about and admit it. She kind of just found the strength to get over it herself. Some internal conflicts just need to be a perspective change. In fact, it probably would have hurt Lucy's feelings if she knew how Gwen originally thought about her. So I'm glad that Gwen was able to deal with this on her own.
We knew all along that Lucy wasn't the mole.
Then why couldn't you reassure Gwen?
I should have known. I can't believe I could suspect my own family.
Well, let's not get crazy here. You know, some family members are pretty whack.
Try not to feel bad about it. Sometimes even when you think you know, you don't know.
Very true. Very wise lesson from Max there. And I love how it bookends right here.
My hairbrush?
Now we're returning to the hairbrush flashback, where normally you would think that's it. Oh, back in the day, when they were kids, she used her hairbrush and it made Gwen upset. But now we're seeing where it really comes through.
Have you seen Cousin Lucy? Nope.
Well, that was a really high nope for young Ben.
Nope.
Did they pitch him up?
Nope.
That's really weird.
Lucy keeps using my favorite hairbrush.
Some people can be so inconsiderate.
That sounds like Ben. Oh. So it turns out it was Ben, or at least this time it was Ben. Maybe it was Lucy the first time and she learned her lesson, but now Ben's the one doing it. Although the mud being purple does kind of lean a bit too hard into the misdirect, because what mud is normally purple? And Lucy's completely oblivious to it, so she just wants to join into the fun. Oh, and his ringtone is consistent between episodes.
You gonna get that?
Mom!
That's nice.
Hey, Rook. Wait, what?
And this is the second part of the conversation that gets reflected in the next episode.
Wait, how big are we talking here? I'm on my way. Excuse me.
I never should have suspected you to be a traitor.
Okay, so she does take a second to talk to Lucy about it. Even though she battled her feelings eternally, she still feels like she wants to come forward with it. That's pretty admirable, but I also don't think Lucy knew that Gwen suspected her, because she never brought it up to her to begin with. It was always just an aside to Ben.
I'm not mad at you. We're family.
And she gets over it immediately.
Someday I'll get you back when I'm your commanding officer.
But she also does have a little smugness to her as well. She is very similar to Ben in broad strokes.
You are kidding, right? Psych?
That was a pretty fun episode, right? So now let's make the assessments. It was a pretty easy watch, but I feel like this only deserves a 3. What really brings this episode to life is the characters and the interesting dynamics with a third Tennyson cousin involved with Ben and Gwen's usual quarrels, which they more or less seem to have gotten over at this point in the show. And this was a nice exploration on Gwen and some of her flaws and insecurities, rather than making Ben learn the same thing for the 20th time in a row. But the plumbers having a mole and then having to find the mole is a pretty standard plot. And with the 4-season history that Omniverse has given the plumbers of their absolutely terrible management and security and functionality, maybe the fact that a mole being a big deal would be more believable. As well as the twist of the mole being Gorvin. Not only was there no build up to this over the past couple episodes, even in the episode itself, you don't really see Gordon until halfway through, and he's not a notable character by any means, unless like you remember the out of show video game lore. So while it was interesting for the fans who got it, in the episode it feels very random. It doesn't feel like so much of a twist rather than a solution to take the blame off of Lucy. Like if you weren't going to seed all of the misdirects to make the Gordon twist feel like it had a bigger payoff, it at least should have been a character we were more familiar with before this episode. Or if not any of that, have him in more scenes throughout this episode so you can recognize him. Also shit, I've been saying Gordon instead of Gorvin. My bad, I'm not re-recording that. Characterization, I'm going to give a 4. Like I said, this is one of Ben's best episodes as a character, and it was really nice to have Gwen involved in a low stakes episode. Gwen and Kevin are usually treated in Omniverse as a big deal whenever they return, but it was nice to have their casual presence for a non-world ending scenario. And seeing that the show is still capable of having their growth as friends and cousins from UAF carry over into this series as well. They can have their bickering fun in the flashbacks, but now that they're way past it as teenagers, I like that they're continuing this vibe. Lucy's optimistic personality is really nice in this episode. It's just shy of her feeling ignorant, but they've done enough to make her seem smart and capable. She's just a very positive person. But everybody else really falls flat. Siphon struggles to define himself beyond his first appearance in Omniverse. In UA and then everything after, he is very much just a joke character, which is fine, but it still doesn't balance enough intrigue or personality to make it seem like the cast of characters beyond the main 3 of this episode have any weight to them, and Gorvin is kind of just a nothing character. Visuals, I'll give it a 3. All the sludge puppy transformations, they're animated pretty nicely, but the fight choreography falls pretty short, and there's not enough visual intrigue to make up for it. Lucy is definitely the visual highlight, seeing all of her forms and just the fact there's another Tennyson family member in the bunch, but these are very standard standard visuals for an Omniverse episode. Importance, I can only give it a 1. It gets that 1 because of the connective tissue this has with the next episode. It's an intriguing concept to have those parallels between the two stories, but this doesn't lay the groundwork for anything coming up in the future, and there's not enough community relevance to back it up. But 1 point is better than nothing. And entertaining, I'll give it a 4. There's a lot of elements that really drag you into the episode, but the interest comes in waves rather than a solid, full engagement throughout the entire story. That leaves this episode off with a 15 out of 25. The amusement of it makes me want to put it higher, but I'd still say this is a pretty fair rating. Now, let's move on to the next one. On November 9th, 2013, Automotives came to our screen from David McDermott's penmanship. Rook and Kevin explore an intergalactic auto show as they run into Auto, an artificial intelligence that tricked Kevin into helping him escape the Null Void while leaving Kevin behind. Auto and his hired goons steal the 4 most valuable cars in the galaxy, so it's up to Kevin and Rook to shift into high gear and take him out of the race. So this is our first true scene that really takes place in the Null Void in Omniverse. We've already gotten brief glimpses of it twice during the Phil flashbacks, and sometimes we see it through the portal, so we did get plenty of views of it by now. And while this is still a flashback as well, it's still a full entire scene where we're present in that moment for the time being. And this is our first time seeing a flashback Kevin in Omniverse. He looks like a nice combination between the original classic young Kevin and the UAF flashback one, taking elements of both of them and tying them together. Ultimately, I like the tan pants more than the blue pants for Kevin when he's younger, but other than that, I think the Omniverse design really takes it for me as the best young Kevin design. But similar to Ultimate Alien, he is still voiced by Greg Sipes no matter which age he is. But Greg does a great job at differentiating all of the different ages of Kevin throughout the show.
Settle down, Earth boy.
And now we get to see young Argent. We have seen Argent in the past before, but we've never seen him this young.
I had to get this thing away from some pretty tough customers.
So this confirms that they were dealing tech even while they were still stranded in the Null Void. I believe in a couple of breakdowns, I was always speculating that Kevin wasn't able to get into the business until after he escaped the Null Void. It just seemed like he had way too many connections and way too much history and experience with the criminal life. And we do see him on Koros when he was like 14. But with this statement here, they were dealing tech while they were still stranded, so he got such an early start. Actually, this is probably after he escaped Cervantes as well, given Argent's with him. One of these days, I want to make like a true Kevin timeline video and put all the flashbacks together. And don't worry, I know the Cervantes stuff is true. I'm not going to do any of the Osmosian stuff, but regardless, it would be interesting to see all the flashbacks put from start to finish and see what Kevin's life was like, right?
My friends, this is hardly the time for lamentation.
So this right here is Auto, the same, I was going to say species, the same type of model as Pixie we've seen on Rad Dudesman's ship. Although unlike Pixie, Auto can actually speak English.
Kevin, Argent, my friends.
He is voiced by Kevin Sean, or Kevin Schoen, sorry, whichever way it should be. And he's kind of got a little bit of a Psychobos vibe to him as well. I'm surprised that this isn't just Eric again.
If you can really turn this pile of junk into our get-out-of-jail-free card,
this is the hour of our deliverance.
So this is setting up you to believe that they worked with Auto to eventually escape the Null Void, and that's how they got out.
Solid state.
Is that a PG way to say shit?
Now, if one of you would be so kind as to turn on the chronometric oscillator.
It's interesting he puts his arms inside of him before he teleports. And this teleport effect is just a wipe upwards, though you can still see a glow outline. So this is not just a wipe transition. They drew him wiping upwards. That's kind of interesting. And he ditched him. So far he tried to escape with Coral, then he got captured by Cervantes, then had to escape Cervantes, then tried to escape with Auto, but then still got stuck there, then eventually kind of escaped again under the slavery of Zascare, but then got sent back another time. Man, he's really been through it. Maybe part of the reason why he teams up with Ben and Gwen so easily is he's just tired. He's just got no fight left in him. He's like, sure, I'll work with the good guys at this point. I just really don't give a shit. Oof. Oh, and speaking of Koros.
Seriously, Rook?
So this scene connects from the start of the last episode where we saw Rook and Kevin take off with Kevin's car connected to the back.
Have a good time at the car show.
Though when we first saw it take off, it was attached to the full proto truck, whereas here it's transformed into a ship. And if you visualize the sizing of somebody sitting down inside of this car versus sitting in the back of this truck, which we've seen before, and Kevin down here, the layout is actually pretty consistent. It's very easy to get the sizing wrong with all of these different variables.
You are the slowest driver.
Do you know what organic matter looks like after a collision at light speed?
Looks like I've seen some dead bodies. I'm not trying to end up like them.
Better leave the weapons in the truck, or they'll confiscate them at the gate.
Lucky for Kevin, his body is a weapon.
One would think they might make make an exception for officers.
You know, I was actually going to say that, but given the Tetraman's army's customs, they could probably handle themselves.
Can a fella get something to drink around here?
Tetramans aren't big on exceptions.
Oh my god, that's their punishment? That's so cruel, but I love it.
That guy's been here since yesterday.
Oh my god, how long are days on Koros? With their multiple suns, did it just rot him away? But between these two shots, this guy teleports so much further than where he was at the start of the scene. So here we have a reptilian mount, which started as just a classic series toy, something to buy and make the show more merchandise. But it's cool to see it finally show up in the show, similar to the Galvin toys appearing on Galvin Prime. Between the mounts and then Gorvin from the last episode, this pair of episodes is bringing back a lot of out-of-show continuity into the continuity.
Beam scans always make me itch.
Same, bro.
That's the Z-bosons.
So this line right here actually led to people believing for a long time that these things were called Z-bosons because one's in the shot when Kevin says it.
That's the Z-bosons.
But he's actually talking about the type of laser that's used to scan all of the people entering the auto show.
This is it, Rook.
Now we're at the Intergalactic Auto Show. This is the guy that's going to fix Master Kundo in a couple of seasons.
If you can't get it here, you can find a guy who will build it for you.
You know, despite my feelings on Hoakstar, it does make sense that he's here, so bravo for the continuity. And this is the first time that smoothies have actually looked like smoothies in Ben 10. Usually they're just treated as liquids, but smoothies have a very thick consistency, and this seems very thick. Ooh.
You are certain that I can purchase Crystal Matrix Plasma Resonators here?
Crystal Matrix Plasma Resonators. All right, that's a thing.
Try not to look like a plumber.
Are the parts you are looking for illegal?
Illegal in what regard, though?
Depending on the configuration.
Exactly. I'm loving this. Very strong dialogue. A lot of the things that they say that you would think about, they end up addressing in the show. Not full-on lampshading, but there's natural flow to this conversation.
It's gotta be the ion return canister.
This Planchicule right here is voiced by Greg Sipes. His name is Grick, followed by his brother right here, voiced by Alexander Polinsky, named Grak.
I disagree. I think it's the flux valve mounting bolt.
This is references to Click and Clack, the Tappet brothers, who have a weekly car show called Car Talk. I don't think they expected anybody to get that reference.
Hello, you're on Car Talk.
Remember the 51 Dodge?
With a trunk that you could fit an elephant in. Of course I remember.
The track is always lit.
Yeah, well, so's my brother, but he still needs headlights.
They're harmless, doesn't really get in the way of anything. And it's neat to see other Planchicules. Like, when I see Jury Rig, I wouldn't have guessed that their species could also look this diverse. So, bravo for the character design. Also, holy shit, is this a fucking incursion? Trying to make a quick buck after the war, huh?
Welcome, honored customers. May you find vehicular contentment in my many and varied wares.
That's Eric Bauza, isn't it? Yup, it is. He's also the same species as Roy, who we still don't know what they're called. And this guy doesn't have a name either. He kind of looks a little bit like Colonel Sanders, so let's call him Harland. And Harland is Roy's uncle. And yes, all of that is canon to the show now because I say so. And here's 77 and 22. They've long since ripped away any sense of care I've had for these characters, so you might as well have fun with them. 22's a cute idea.
What do you want for this?
A reverse calibrated lepton transducer?
Does everything need to be called so complicatedly?
Banned in 12 systems.
Rook, shut the fuck up.
Consider it a gift.
Having you around might be okay.
Kevin's like, oh, I can get free stuff if I bring a cop friend with me?
Arjit.
Kevin and I share an interest in high-performance vehicle modification.
Which I do want to point out that a Kevin and Rook episode is such a genius idea, by the way. They certainly seemed like characters that clicked pretty well once they met each other in season 2, so getting to explore them even further, beyond being involved with Ben or even Gwen, was an awesome idea.
No scam?
I'm a solid citizen now.
He broke into a warehouse and stole an illegal weapons shipment.
And that did happen in The Ultimate Heist, which in airing order was shown after this episode. So another point in the infinitely tallying score that if you can help it, you really should watch this show in production order. It does matter.
Is that who I think it is?
5 years we've been looking for that guy.
Now he's gonna get what's coming to him.
Kevin's like, it's on site. I don't blame him.
Backstabbing, TK!
No good, double trust!
I wonder if that even hurt him, given the fact he's a robot.
So, you escaped after all. Solid state.
Solid state again. Maybe that's just like his catchphrase, or just a verbal tick he has.
Oh, I had no idea the device would only transport me out of the null void.
We found our own way.
Which they never do end up showing, but that does confirm that Kevin did officially escape the null void with Arjit. Which makes you wonder, where was Arjit during the offensive from Hedorium to Eternity? Because that had to have taken place after the Quarrel incident, given that Kevin learned to absorb matter. I don't know, that timeline video, maybe one day.
I can't tell you how glad I am to see you for a special job I have lined up. The profits are immeasurable.
I would not trust this dude. Do not trust this dude.
Go on.
Whoa, Rook? He wants to get involved with this?
No, me and Arjit are legit citizens these days.
That's right, Kevin. Aside from illegally dealing tech, but you know, everyone's gotta scratch their itch somehow.
All your talent is going to waste.
It's really not a big deal, but I would have liked if Ped was like slightly transparent, given it's, I think, a hologram? Is that what it is? Pixie was definitely a hologram. Was Pixie transparent? Yeah, Pixie was always a little bit transparent, so it would have been nice to have that consistency.
Oh well. This is a sticker.
How did they get these weapons in here? These don't seem like anything special. The Tetramans' security must be as shitty as the plumbers, huh?
You're under arrest. You're unarmed, remember?
True, but he does have badass ninja skills.
Call for backup. Ben.
So this is where the phone call first starts to connect with the other episode.
Hey, Rook. How's the auto show?
The pacing of that already seems a little bit weird.
Hey, Rook. How's the auto show?
And it is the same audio that Yuri Lowenthal recorded for this scene as well.
Hey, Rook. How's the auto show?
Strangely enough, there's a longer pause for Ben's dialogue. Seeing mud is thicker than water.
Hey, Rook. How's the auto show?
But then in automotives.
Hey, Rook. How's the auto show?
Very weird pause. But then we keep things going. In this scene, they skip to all of Ben's dialogue pretty quickly since you only hear Ben. But now that we're hearing Rook, it's a lot longer between scenes.
The show is fine.
Oh, Rook.
However,
I can barely
we
hear
have
you
run
over all
into
that
some trouble
screaming in the
here.
background.
And the crowd is in a panic.
Look, whatever trouble you and Kevin are in, it can't be anywhere near as bad as what we're dealing with here.
Look, whatever trouble you and Kevin are in.
See, the pacing is just much faster in the previous one, but that's understandable since we don't actually get to see this part yet. Because on this end, we would have just seen Ben sitting there in silence for like 10 seconds or so, which disrupts the pacing. So it's understandable.
I can barely hear you over all that screaming in the background.
It's interesting that for backup, they call Ben and not any plumbers that might have been closer in this sector.
Whatever trouble you and Kevin are in, it can't be anywhere near as bad as what we're dealing with here.
And likewise to mud is thicker than water. Ben's line right here wouldn't make sense unless you saw the previous episode, which if you're watching in order, you would have.
Armed lowlife, a full-scale firefight.
Your thing is way worse.
Actually, that's kind of exactly what Ben and Gwen are going through over there. Armed lowlives, and they do have a firefight later. I guess what Ben means is they're not fighting at that very moment, so it's all good.
We are unarmed and pinned down.
So here the phone call gets disrupted because it gets shot right out of Rook's hand. But here in mud is thicker than water, it seems like Ben stays on the phone for a lot longer after that statement of dialogue. Because based on this scene, Rook's plumber badge would have gotten shot out of his hand right around here.
We are unarmed and pinned down.
So after Ben runs off and he leaves Gwen alone for all this time, I wonder what he's actually doing. Also, I haven't talked much about how Koros and the auto show looks, and it looks pretty good for the most part. A lot of these are just reused assets from other things that we've seen earlier, but it still works.
Kevin? We cannot wait.
How'd Kevin know that was in there?
They can hold the guards off indefinitely. They have recycler clips.
Does that mean their ammo just never runs out? That's gotta be super useful. Why don't the plumbers have that? Also, if you notice that Kevin's metal form right here has a few differences from his regular body. He's got these bolts on his knees, these vents on the sides of his legs, and the ripples on his harness right here. It must be that type of engine that he absorbed specifically, because when he absorbed metal in the More Things Change Part 1, he didn't have any of these extra features. So it shows not only the property he absorbs changes how it morphs into his body, but what the object specifically is as well. These are kind of engine attributes added to him. It'd be neat if it gave him engine powers as well, like he's got like a supercharged like rocket punch or something. That'd be neat.
Right, human shield.
Oh, and look at the bottoms of his feet too. That's awesome.
That was the Tetraman engine block I touched back there.
Pressure Forge Infinitum.
That's the same kind of block that he has in his car.
Tetramans do make indestructible engine blocks.
You got a better way to get a Koros 5 engine, Tennyson?
And he said it's called what?
Pressure Forge Infinitum.
Pressure Forged Infinitum. That's almost as ridiculous as unobtainium.
Still hurts though.
Kevin can still feel pain even in his armored up form. Probably because he actually is the material now rather than it coating him. Whoa, what the fuck? Bounces off of here, up here, off Kevin, flips into action, boom. He does not need a proto tool.
Good work, team.
I am thwarted.
Well deserved.
Kevin lad.
How's it going, your warlordship?
I am Rook Blanco.
We met when I threatened to destroy Earth.
Right, like I'm surprised Rook's introducing himself right now.
And you are?
Although he did meet Argent as well.
Freelance hero.
You three will be my honored guests.
Ka-ching.
I wonder what qualifies them to be put in the cells right here rather than having themselves buried into the ground out front.
Well done, gentlemen. On to phase 2.
Rook's right.
Alright, I've been trying to ignore it, but this episode has a lot of like Argent at this angle, which it's not terrible, it's just they don't show him from this angle a lot. Almost never in all of his other episodes, but this episode it's been like front-facing Argent City. It's the same with Ultimate Alien. There's like one episode where they just show him facing forward a lot, even though they don't do that a lot in any of the other episodes. And it's just very strange to look at.
This doesn't add up. Otto wouldn't pull a stupid stunt like that.
You must see my private vault.
Yeah, announce it to the whole world. By the way, if anyone's listening, we're going to my private vault. And look at this weapon. 4 blasters with 4 prongs. They really love playing up the number 4 for Tetramans.
Where I keep the 4 rarest and most valuable cars in the galaxy.
So if you couldn't tell, that's what Otto's after. Also, I gotta imagine on some level this is intentional. The fact that they're heading towards a pyramid shape right here, and then in one of the versions that Benton explained the pyramid, saying it was the Tetramans. I like to think that ties into each other.
Is it anywhere near where you put Otto and his goons?
Look at that!
Of course.
Have you ever ridden on one of these?
So strangely enough, they don't have 4 different grips for the reptilian mounts in the show like they do for the toy, despite their large emphasis on having quad everything.
Punch it!
Stop double clutching!
Was that guy double clutching?
Alright, what the fuck does double clutching mean? It's a technique for shifting gears in manual transition for vehicles that involves designated clutching twice. Calling upon my car expertise viewers, could you explain that in a more simple term for me?
Now that guy drives like my brother. That guy drives like my brother.
There is a bit of focus put on them though, as if like they're trying to imply you should know what they're referencing, but I mean, no kid watching this is gonna get this. I like that they're struggling trying to control this beast for a little bit. I never really liked when characters are experts at riding foreign animals. Unless it's Vilgax, you know. Vilgax can get away with it. There we go. All right, now they're starting to get a hang of it a little bit. Although throughout this whole scene, we never get like a solid look at the 4 cars they're stealing yet. I suppose their designs aren't that specific, but I am interested in what they look like. We do have the full Tatanite car, which is the most notable and memorable one. I think Kevin even gets to keep this at the end of the episode. Then we got this tall looking thing, which you can barely consider a car, but I like the design. And then this twirling thing with the 4th vehicle all the way in the background. We'll probably get a better look at it sometime later. Although given this shot and then the driver's perspective, we should be seeing Otto's car and the other one in front of him right here. Whoa! Now this looks very tricky to animate. You got the ship going back and forth, the rotator around it swirling in a different direction, this thing standing on top of it with its legs trying to lock onto it, and then Rook and Kevin on top of it as well. There's many points of movement and weight, and the main source of movement, this thing rippling into here and then up to them and then through them. This is a very complicated shot, and it's only a couple of seconds, but bravo to the one who pulled this off.
They have sealed the main gate!
This is the 4th one. It's funny how the 4 most valuable cars in the galaxy barely even resemble cars.
How could they pierce these heavy infinitum doors?
The doors are infinitum too, but the engine block that Kevin absorbed was also infinitum and he was silver. Although he did say it was like compressed or whatever, so maybe when you compress it, it turns it silver. Or Warlord Guard infused it as an alloy to give it this gold texture for royalty.
The lead car was solid Tatanite.
Remember when Tatanite was a rare living gem? And now not only is it common currency, but you can make a car out of it.
Need a ride?
We should be gaining on them.
I'm surprised Kevin isn't using like his off-roading tires for right here and it's just driving straight on Koros. Or maybe his default tires are just that good now. Where are they even going? They're just out in the middle of nowhere now.
Try to contact Ben again. Nah, Earth's hours away.
Unless they allow Jet Ray to finally be in the show and then he can use hyperspace, but you know, fuck that I guess. Uh-oh. Now these designs are pretty cool. It does look like they can use just a little bit more detail to make them truly seem massive. And like I said, the standards are set. We've seen them animate creatures like Ultimate Humongosaur and Frankenstrike. They could have afforded to put, you know, some more textures and gills and whatever on top of him. In a way, more detail does make things seem larger. Without anything in the shot to compare, if you showed me this image, I would think it's the size of a dog.
Hey, Rook. Ben.
Now this is the second part of the conversation that we saw at the end of Mud is Thicker Than Water. Let's see how these things compare.
Hey, Rook. Ben, I am sorry to pester you, but if we are devoured by sand rippers, the lowlifes will get away.
Yeah, as expected, it doesn't line up exactly, but the dialogue itself is at least still consistent, and it is Yuri's exact audio takes from this episode.
Hey, Rook. Ben, I am sorry to pester you.
See, this would be a long time for Ben to just be sitting there in silence if we were still watching Mud is Thicker Than Water to get Rook's full explanation out.
Wait, what? Where's Kevin?
Those were in sync, though. The spacing between his 2 lines here.
Wait, what? Where's Kevin?
Unlike the last one where the "Hey Rook, what's up" was oddly spaced.
In his car. Wait, facing the same giant beasts. Wait, okay.
Regardless, it is still cool to see these moments overlap them.
They are eating my truck.
And look at them just hanging on right there. Golly goosh.
Try not to make it any worse. I'm on my way.
Make it worse?
Those two jokers. They're having a great time. Oops.
See, here it seems like Argent ripping out the cable is what disconnected them from the call, but in this area, Ben already hung up on him before Argent even had a chance to respond. The pacing I can excuse, because like I keep saying, it'd be really awkward to wait out the length of Rook's entire line every single time in the first version of the episode. But both the ending here...
I'm on my way.
Make it worse!
Those two jokers.
And the ending over here, with Rook's badge getting shot out and Ben running away.
We are unarmed and pinned down.
Yeah, see, those don't line up either. So the endings of the calls do kind of shake it up a bit. But I mean, who's really going to sit there in an editing program over a decade after these aired and compare it to make sure there's timing accuracy, huh?
Hit up that rock slab.
Another underappreciated design aspect, whenever they design the cars, they have to design what the inside of them looks like as well, and these are really cool seat shapes. I don't think the inside is completely made of Tatanite though. This has to be different materials. It's probably like coated in Tatanite, but still, that's a lot of Tatanite.
Rippers can't move through solid rock.
It's crazy they can even tell the difference between the terrains though. The rock and the sands look exactly the same. Although if that was sand earlier, that's probably why he wasn't using his road tires. Holy shit, does this guy talk? That counts. That had to have been a voice actor to do that. A second time as if the episode's almost over.
Quite a remarkable vehicle you have here.
Crazy that this car can balance on this back part right here though when it's not flying in the air. You'd think it'd have some type of retractable tripod support. Now this is an interesting animation though. We've never seen the proto truck morph like this before. We get to see some of the inner mechanisms inside beyond the shell of its two forms.
Bralada.
Bralada, the phrase comes back. It already looks like the middle torso of some type of humanoid figure. Complemented by excellent morphing animations, going around to form a fist. So these don't exactly work like typical Transformers would, with them being designed from the ground up to be able to realistically transform. Because with a lot of Transformers, the designs in the shows, even as far back as their debut in the 80s, were designed so that they can physically transform along their toy counterparts, because it was a toy show. Whereas here, you see the metal morphing like this, which is physically impossible. But given this wasn't supposed to be a real object in the first place, it doesn't have to follow those rules. In which it's very ironic I'm breaking down this episode because I just watched Transformers 1 for the first time last night at the time of this recording. Great film, y'all should check it out. Except this car barely transforms. The back part of it already forms as some type of electrical claw.
Otto has accessed the proto truck's mainframe.
Tremble before the power of Auto Gestalt.
Gestalt meaning an organized whole that is perceived as more than the sum of its parts. Which, if you go by that specific definition, parallels the phrase more than meets the eye from Transformers, as Otto is pretty much just a giant Transformers reference. In fact, Matt Wayne did say they originally wanted Otto to call this form an Autobot as a pretty obvious pun, but their lawyers wouldn't allow it. Though I still feel like they could have gotten away with it. They were probably too scared, but and all of them combining together is not only something that many Transformers figures do, but also is more reminiscence to like the Power Rangers Zoids or the Voltron robots as well. A lot of different things from media do something like this, so I guess it was Ben 10's turn to try something out like this.
Look at my dad! Look at my dad!
This type of pattern on the face is very reminiscent to many Transformers, notably Optimus Prime, but I do like that his holographic face is still on top of it all. Derek J. White was always a huge Transformers fan, even being the art director for the Transformers animated series, so I imagine he really had fun putting this episode together.
Get in!
The Sand Rippers sticking their head out of here, some type of video game boss level, which is weird to see their behavior like this, given that you see him swimming through the ground earlier. Also in this shot, they're pretty much at the top of this mountain when they're sticking their heads out right here. But when they're driving away, their heads are much smaller on a significantly taller mountain. Now that's an interesting teleport effect. It's kind of similar to Eons in Ben again, where it's like a beam dropping down and materializes him inside.
Wouldn't believe what I had to go through to get Azimuth to teleport me here.
I like that it was up to Azimuth too, since Azimuth seems to be the only one in the Ben 10 universe with technology to teleport that great of a distance. And it's also the second time Azimuth has offhandedly helped Ben in Omniverse without truly being a present character in the show.
It's hard enough just to get him to return a message.
Ben tries to message Azimuth often, although Edel's an interesting choice for this. And of course it has to be from Kevin's car.
Couldn't eat the ground, but this stuff is delicious.
Wow, so he really could have eaten the ground then. I bet he's really regretting on calling Ben now. Now he's just being disrespectful.
It's not going to hold him for long. Wait, who is this?
It's great that Ben's up and just immediately starts throwing hands without even knowing who this guy is. Can you imagine if he wasn't the bad guy? So this seems to not have been his plan from the start, and I'm wondering if these cars even have the ability to transform, or if it was just Otto somehow being able to use the Proto Truck's ability to transform and mirror it onto these other elements. Because at first, before the Proto Truck was involved, they were just driving aimlessly into the desert. Unless all of these cars also could have transformed without the Proto Truck being here. But if so, then they should have probably done that from the start.
Benny! Shock Squatch! Way big!
Wow, he's actually trying to use Way Big now? Do you think Kevin's car can still fly?
Upgrade.
Finally, the return of Upgrade. I feel like there's so many episodes where I say Ben could just use Upgrade and then the day would be saved. So this is his first like true appearance of Upgrade in a while. He did show up in Heroes United, which is technically canon, but it's not the same as him showing up in the show proper. One thing I like about the difference between Young and Teen Upgrade is not just their color schemes, but their technology patterns do change between age as well. So I like that attention to detail, but I'm not a fan of the Omnitrix being on his eye. And it would have been nice if the tech lines were a slightly different color than like his underbelly greens. And him upgrading Kevin's car as the cherry on top. You see its wheels fold underneath. It's very reminiscent of the DeLorean from Back to the Future. And it's got protective shields up front, wings on the sides, and on the back to help it glide. But like I said, we've seen Kevin's car fly before, so it's not that impressive.
You could have upgraded me like this any old time.
You told me never to touch your car.
That's a great throwaway line to explain why they haven't done it before. And it's also very in character for him. Though Ben upgrading Kevin's car does feel like on the same level of fan service as Ben upgrading Rex. Something that's possible, but something you'd think they would never actually do. So it is cool that we got it. Although it's not that appealing of a design. I get that, you know, they're still playing into the general Transformers theme. But given the way we've seen upgrade things beforehand, this does feel a little outside of the regular design theory for it. But it's still a good design. And in fact, Derek would later go on to use this as a basis for Decimus Prime, the non-canon Cybertronian transformation for Ben.
I'm trembling in my multi-trillion Taden shoes.
Technically only one shoe.
Those cars are worth more than many planets.
Avoid damaging the arms and leg.
I know he's eventually going to, but in that case, once I heard that, I would have just morphed into Otto's body right here and dismantled all of it. But I guess for the appeal, they do gotta duke it out a little bit. How could you not, right? Two giant robots?
What about the part that looks like your truck?
Go to town.
Pardon me?
I love that too. Kevin's finally like, well, if my car's fucked, somebody else has got to pay for it as well. Also, given that this is Kevin's car, I do like that they added the 11 on front of it on top of the Omnitrix symbol. So it's not just a completely Ben thing. There's the subtle reminder that this is part of Kevin's creation in a way. In fact, a lot of its weapons should have been based on things that Kevin's car can do, like that big multi-missile thing that pops out of the roof sometime.
Solid state.
Solid state again. And if you watch the battle, he really does only aim for the truck.
I started life as a faulty AI unit for a ventilator.
Interesting backstory, but very random to bring it up right now. He's like, oh, hey, we haven't met yet. Well, here's my origin. Nice to meet you, Ben. I'm Otto.
After coming all this way.
Wow, is that laser not red? Good shit. And it's got this electrical shape inside of it as well. Nice stuff.
You're not too good with machines.
There we go. Didn't take him too long. And that's awesome. He morphs a third arm out of his chest.
Knocked my block off.
That's a reference to the Rock'em Sock'em robots. Tons of references in this episode. Very reference heavy.
And Blue Bomber's block is knocked off. His block is knocked off?
Sure, but you can press it right back on again. It's just part of the action with the world's only boxing robots, the Rock'em Sock'em robots by Marx.
Your ride's gonna need a little body work.
Kevin's really eating this up.
I can loan you my wrench.
And Rook gets equipped back in. See, I love these two interacting together, but unlike the last episode where we got to play around a lot with Ben and Gwen's relationship along with Gwen and Lucy, despite this being an episode highlighting Rook and Kevin, we don't get a dive into their relationship.
You are the greatest hero in the universe.
Oh, you know what? I was looking through the images and I found this design of Ben completely upgrading Otto Gestalt, which we kind of got in the episode, seeing him morph into it, but not in a full absorption. In fact, there's a lot of effort put into this design. I wonder if that scene was supposed to be extended or not, because we really don't see this at all. What a waste of a pretty solid design. And that would have been sick too. All of the cars combine and then Ben upgrades them like this giant mega form.
Kevin's car got totally messed up.
Also, this is the last episode to feature Kevin's classic green car. Now that Gar's about to gift him the Tatanite car, he starts saving up parts and building his blue one, which is going to eventually be everything proof, as he puts it.
I should give Kevin Lemon his choice of my own personal collection.
See, of course, how could you not choose the Tatanite car?
My vehicles were damaged as well.
But it could still fly.
My Vorlon spline distributor.
The space inside seems a lot roomier than normal. Like I said, it's easier to get the sizing incorrect with all of these different variables in mind.
That's why I picked the Money Mobile. We'll sell it, rebuild both our cars.
Although when Rook repairs his proto truck, he doesn't get any upgrades or changes to it. It just looks like the proto truck again, whereas Kevin's car gets a complete overhaul.
That car's made of flawless Tetraman Tatanite.
Tetraman Tatanite? So are there different types of Tatanite then? Tatanite makes less and less sense the more they elaborate on it.
Where are you gonna find someone rich enough to buy it?
Good point, but they could sell it in pieces, which is what I think they end up doing anyway. All right, another one in the chamber. So like the last one, this episode was pretty amusing, but the plot's only gonna get a 3. It was great seeing a little bit more of Kevin's backstory in the Null Void, something that we didn't even really get too much in UAF. We got the Coral stuff, which was great, but we still never learned how he actually escaped. And while we don't hear either, it's at least another step in the right direction. We're starting to really get those pieces together. But other than that, it was nice to see an episode highlighting the relationship between Rook and Kevin. It almost feels like Ben shouldn't have been involved to give them more room for Kevin and Rook's relationship to grow and be explored, but I have a feeling they were afraid to not include Ben, period, just for the marketing of the show, or even just audience interest. They were probably like, well, if people really don't mess with this, we gotta throw Ben in there at the end. And then we finally got Upgrade, which, despite him being very late to the party, now Ben's actually starting to use Upgrade again, and he does show up in future episodes, so I'll give him that. And Otto's a pretty interesting character. Nothing special, but at least he's different from the typical power-hungry villain. And taking place completely on Koros was a nice move as well. Characterization is only going to get a 3. Like I said, unlike the previous episode, we don't get to dive into Rook and Kevin as characters. They're very much guided by the plot of this story. The small moments between them we do get were great, but they're far and few in between. Well, it was also nice to see Gar show back up as well. They are on Koros after all. Visuals, this one might be a little debatable, but I also only gotta give it a 3. The ending of this episode really holds it up a lot, but other than that, it's mostly just them walking around a car show with a lot of reused assets and characters that we've seen before, and not a lot visually going on. It was cool to see Kevin in the past, and it's cool to see all the Transformer stuff at the end, but for the majority of the episode, there's really not a lot going on. Importance, like the last one, only gets a 1. These two episodes paired together are pretty interesting, but it doesn't do much to develop the Ben 10 universe at all. And entertaining, I'm only going to give it a 3. Without watching it right after Mud is Thicker Than Water, it just doesn't have the strength to hold on to itself. They leaned a bit way too much into the plot and not enough on the characters, which is what really made the last episode interesting. This episode doesn't have that. It's just Rook and Kevin on an alien planet at a car show, and then there's a big Transformers battle at the end, which is neat the first time around, especially when you see the phone call synchronization, but on its own, I can't see people throwing this one on too often. So that's gonna leave it with a 13 out of 25, a disappointingly low score for a very intriguing episode. But yeah, after you watch it the first time, it seems pretty hard to come back to it, aside from just that one ending scene. So with that out of the way, let's move on to the final thoughts. I must have been off my game doing the first breakdown, because there was a lot I caught in the editing that I didn't catch the first time around, but I'd really be kicking myself if I didn't mention it here. First, Lucy's dialogue in the flashbacks and her introduction are the same.
Psych! Gwen, are you surprised to see me? Surprised to see me? I'm visiting for a couple months. I've been working with the plumbers for a couple of months now. But don't worry. I promise I won't get mud on anything.
And you know how I love those parallels. There's also a brief error when Lucy first morphs back and she's not wearing Gwen's shirt, but then is wearing it in the immediate next shot. Also a bit of foreshadowing about Lucy's secret role. When Gwen says, "Where's Lucy?" we then cut to a scene of Siphon right next to Liam as if to answer Gwen's question. And on the note of Lucy's eye color changing, it was apparently changed as designed Lucy to resemble Elizabeth Taylor, but personally, I don't really see the resemblance. It's also notable that Gwen is written more in line with her UAF abilities, as while her appearance and sound effects are certainly Omniverse's magic-based system, she doesn't use any spells in this episode, prioritizing her mana manipulation only. And as Eugene Sun wrote both episodes that feature Lucy so far, the Cotillion reference is not only a callback for continuity's sake, but a callback to the dialogue that he wrote.
I took Cotillion for 3 years. Cotillion? It means... Well, I did take Cotillion for 3 years. Cotillion. It means...
Also, the nanoshift transformer that allows Otto to combine all of the other automobiles was first mentioned in Manny Happy Returns.
Quiltep nanoshift transformer? Ben, he's got a nanoshift transformer!
I am merely saying he has accessed the nanoshift transformer.
Now let's check out the last batch of polls. We start off with the near extinction of the Forever Knights in Omniverse, and about 96% of people liked this direction. I'm one of them included, but it's very rare you see this many people in favor of one idea. Also, more than half of the voters enjoyed the direction that the Forever Knights were taken in Omniverse, though there's still some defenders from all of their previous eras. While I like all of the Knights in each iteration of the show, I do think after everything, Omniverse chose the right move. As for Will Harang's punishment, 84% of voters did agree that this was something that he had coming. I still can't bring myself to say I feel like this was completely justified, just because of the fact that Ben's the one doing this and he's supposed to be the good guy. So while it is a bit bittersweet that Will got this coming to to him, I can't completely condone Ben's actions in enforcing this on him. And reading the comments of the polls, there's many that sympathize with this as well. I'm not gonna lie, it might be a little bit before I do a breakdown again. We do have a lot of projects coming up, so I'm at least gonna leave y'all with a whopping 5 polls because, let's be real, I'm just having a lot of fun with them right now. So over the next couple of days, look out for these following questions. Number 1, do you like the idea that past Gwen had a crush on Kevin before Alien Force? 2, this one's an easy one. Which is your favorite story of this pair of episodes? 3, do you like Kevin's new car? I know it wasn't featured in this episode, but I want to have people vote for this before I forget. 4, how do you feel about Lucy as a character? And lastly, before this episode, did you know about Gorvin, whether it's through actually playing the video games or just hearing about him? Let me know in the community tab when this video goes live. I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. And as always, keep it fizzy. Big thanks to Andrew Analik in the ink cartridge tier, and Elizabeth Susan in the ink barrel tier. Your contributions greatly help the future of our projects, and we appreciate having you as a part of the community.